Welcome everyone to the Shrouded Isle, Sunken Sins. We actually did a video on this before, but we had no idea what we were doing, and it did not go well.
Yes, and now, if I'm not mistaken, you have become the master of Lovecraftian horror of antediluvian evil.
I wouldn't say that, but I played this game in my spare time. I really enjoyed it, still wanted to show it on the channel, and now that I actually know what I'm doing, I want to actually show people how to do it correctly.
Alright, as someone who has not yet seen the truth and needs to explore it, I need to explore this further. Yeah. I've gone to Arkham U. Tell me all the secrets that you know, though it may drive me mad.
So here we worship the god Chernabog.
Okay.
495 years ago, our founder
saw that humanity would perish, except the Widley.
Worthy.
Our Lord will return in glory to reward the Widley. Yet there are sinners in our community, the community of Widleys.
There. As the High Priest, I must select a sinner to sacrifice every season. A sinner for all seasons. 5 years until Judgment Day. If we are free from sin, he will save us from this suffering. Good old Chernabog.
I can just imagine Chernabog coming up as, my judgment is, you're a bitch. I can judge people.
A new season begins. Okay, so the core, even though this is role-playing as a cult leader, the real core of this is just essentially resource management.
Oh, most games are. It just depends on which resource.
Well, you're managing your virtues. You need to keep them above this line to keep Chernabog pleased.
Oh, okay. So what happens if you go below the line?
You have a month to fix it, or Chernabog will be upset.
What happens if you go really below the line? Like, if you get just like a huge hit all at once to the very bottom?
For this one, I don't think you can hit going to zero with this. It's you have to be low for 2 months.
Okay, got it.
One thing you can do is you're also juggling the loyalty of each house, which isn't generally in charge of keeping track of certain virtues. You know, the classic virtues: ignorance, fervor, discipline, penitence, and obedience. You know, the classics.
Yeah, you know, just what I like to encourage in my children.
Yeah. There's also the loyalty of each house, which is always tested as you start sacrificing their members.
Oh. Remain loyal.
Yeah, so that loyalty's the other big resource that you have to juggle.
You know, I remember when my teachers used to tell me that loyalty was all that mattered when they murdered my companions.
A letter has arrived. There are some nice, so you see there are members of different houses. They're randomly generated each time. I can guess at their virtue and vice.
Who the fuck names their kid Bogdan Efferson?
Bogdan Efferson Sr., of course. Your Excellency, yesterday I went to pull water from the well. My bucket came up with a skull-shaped leaf. I dare not leave my house until I receive your blessing, lest I risk Lord Chernabog's wrath.
Oh.
So I can either leave it to House Everson, which will increase loyalty with them. I can offer my blessing, which will increase fervor. Or I can remind him that he needs to... it's probably his own fault, and he needs to, like, flay himself as a sign.
You see that leaf? Oh, you shouldn't have got that leaf. You did too much work in the wrong way.
Looking at this is the best option.
Ooh.
Bogdarson wails up and down the streets about the price of sin. I gained 10 penitence, so that's going to help me later.
Being witchery, interpreting omens in the skulls. So now you get to show your skull.
Each turn, you go and you have to pick an advisor from each house.
Ooh.
Your advisors will be the ones who, during the course of the events, you'll have do things that increase or decrease different virtues.
Do things, you say?
Yes, like with whips.
Oh, penitence. Ooh. Show me your penitence. Show me your love.
For example, if you have House Kegney as one of the main advisors, you select an advisor for everyone, but then you get like 3 rounds of them doing stuff. If you selected House Kegney to perform actions for the community, they will increase ignorance.
Ooh.
However, whoever the advisor is will also, depending on their virtue, increase another trait, or depending on their vice, severely hurt your main trait.
Oh man, I really want to see what Kegney's parades used to look like. Everyone ignore this! Please, ignore me! We're going down the street. Please don't look at this! Don't look at this! Jamie, you fuck!
So you can see we already have some hints at what various virtues and vices are. The best way to actually find out that stuff about someone is to put them on the board as an advisor. Because you get a certain number of inquiries based on how loyal they are at the start of the season. And of course, as you burn through loyalty, you'll be able to use inquiries less and less. And committing inquiries will use up loyalty.
That seems a little risky to me. Like, putting someone on the board without knowing as much about them?
It is risky, but it's also the fastest way, because when you ask them to perform an action, you can then get unlimited inquiries if you're willing to spend the loyalty to immediately find out for sure what their virtues and vices are.
And since it's so early in the game, you're taking the risk?
Well, the big thing is, and this is the biggest piece of advice I can give to anyone starting out, is that you only want to sacrifice people who are guilty of major sins.
Okay.
The way it works is there's minor virtues and major virtues. But the virtues only add 5, 10, or 15 when you have them appointed as a task. The vices go from 10 to minus 10, minus 20, minus 30. They can severely hurt your stats when you're select them as an employer. When you sacrifice someone, unless you have confirmed that they are guilty of a major sin, a negative 30, the house gets really upset.
Got it.
If you sacrifice a member of their house and they don't have a major sin, they lose 50 loyalty. If you sacrifice a member of their house but you confirm that they are a sinner, they only lose 30. And it's much more manageable.
Man, that's a lot of numbers.
And then at the end of each season, Chernabog will also start asking for specific sinners to be found and sacrificed, such as bring me the thief or the pervert, and so you need to find and sacrifice that specific sinner as soon as possible.
Just have you ever taken the thing like, bring me the thief, and then you just like, well, and then you just stab yourself? Is that a possibility?
Yeah. So one of
Can
the
you do like Crusader Kings 2 and you say like, it was me the entire time, and you designate someone else as your heir?
One of the best things to do this first round before Chernabog starts asking for specific sinners is to try to find someone with a major vice.
Okay.
If you can. So I'm going to spend my first victories. Usually, the first time you use an inquiry, it turns it from question mark to the general category, so we know his vice is ignorance. I have to use another inquiry to confirm what it is. Okay. And see, that's going to cost 3 loyalty from House Kegney.
Okay.
Imaginative, not a major vice.
He could be an artist, the worst kind of person.
Swindler, major vice. So now I know I have someone. I at least have one person I can sacrifice this time.
Fantastic.
So I'm going to appoint this person.
Oh, because you have to kill an advisor. That's right.
I have to kill an advisor.
Man, you just told me that. So now it's less risky.
But I'm in a better spot, so I already know who I'm going to sacrifice this time around. So now I can be a bit more free.
Ooh, so do you want to go with the one that you know the least about, because you'll find out more?
Yes, it might really hurt me. But again, my virtues and vices can drop for 1 month without it affecting winning the game.
Oh, have you ever been in a situation where like all of them drop down so low that you need to fix? You're basically screwed.
Come somewhat close. What happens is, like, I realized that I had tons of ignorance, but all my others got fucked up. So I kept using advisors who hurt my ignorance because I had extra ignorance to spare while boosting my other virtues.
I realize I've been inquisiting you this entire time, and I have yet to reveal that you're on the board. So
I'm going to start immediately. While it helps to find out people's virtues, it's not as necessary this early. But the benefit about finding people's virtues is that if you find someone with a major virtue, that's really helpful to have them as like a go-to on the board member to restore your stats.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're slowly losing stats. Also, later in the game, spiritual sicknesses start spreading that hurt people's virtues and turns them into negatives.
Oh.
And if you don't at least know their general virtue, you don't even know the specifics, but if you don't know, if it's still a question mark, you won't have any indication that they've been exposed to that sickness, and you won't be able to detect it and catch it, and lock them in a cell where you dunk them in water until you fix it.
This feels very Cthulhu. The first thing that's most important is, how could you kill me? And then, like, very, very distant future is, how would you not suck? Or like, what's useful for you? You know, it's way more important to me to know, how could you murder me?
So I found another major sinner
that's
I can
2
sacrifice
whole months.
at some point. But I'm going to appoint him. So even though it might really hurt my status to not know anything, I'll be able to find out a lot about him when I have him do something for the month.
Ooh. So I realize that my inquiries have taken up the majority of this episode.
Yeah,
do you want to go long and just show?
Yeah,
like...
let's go a little long.
Yeah.
I want to at least get through 2 seasons if we want to do multiple episodes or not. So
okay.
I'm gonna keep trying to find vices. Vices are gonna be the important thing, and also even just getting the general sense of their vices.
Unrepentant. What a bitch!
Can help me, like, let's say I find out that I need to find a specific one. Another thing I really recommend is just write down which major vices are which and what categories there are, so you can know where to try and use your inquiries to try and find them.
But if you write it down, it reveals that you know how to lead. Or know how to read. I'm sorry, I don't know how to spell.
Not in the game. So I'm going to focus on just finding out.
You don't know that. The game sees all. Have you not seen Cthulhu, right?
Unfortunately, I don't know.
The game knows all.
I should have checked to see who's hopefully not terrible, but let's do this.
You die in the game, you die in real life. But luckily, that's a positive thing in this fiction.
I only have 1 inquiry. See, these guys didn't start out as high approval of me and as loyal, so I only have 1 inquiry.
Of course, they do not know the light of Chernabog.
Mm-hmm. No, they do. They all follow me. They just didn't start out as...
These were Blackborns.
And then this is a smaller house. And all these are randomly generated at the beginning of each game. And you can rename the villagers to your friends and family so you can sacrifice them.
Oh, can you rename Bogdan to Amos, so that way you can be Amos Efferson?
Amos?
Yeah. No, like Thomas, but without the T. Because then it can be Amos Efferson.
Gotcha.
Get it?
I gotcha.
You didn't put the H in.
Oh. One of the... Hamas.
Homas Efferson.
It's pronounced Homas.
Yeah, he will lead us to victory.
Complacent. Okay, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I
can deal with it.
The best vices. Kleptomaniac. He's a thief. I'm going to be sacrificing him at some point. But the best
Mr. President, no.
The best regular advisors is to find someone with a major virtue who adds 15 and a minor vice that subtracts 10, and that's going to help you get replenish a lot of your resources.
Ooh.
Okay, so I'm going to point that one. So worst case, I can probably fall back on her to do stuff when I'm ready. So begin the season. A new month begins. So each month, again, I ask them to do stuff. I don't think I need to. It also helps to find out their virtue if you're before you sacrifice them, if you can, because knowing their virtue when you sacrifice them, it hurts the virtue of the village.
Oh, that's good to know.
I still want to know what his virtue is, because when I sacrifice him, that will go down. I don't want them to necessarily lower me. But see, I know he's going to be minus 30. So what I want to do is you can choose how many advisors. You can have 1, 2, or 3. Doing 3 kind of dilutes any bad effects. So instead of penitence minus 30, which would really hurt me, it's only penitence minus 10. It's a good thing I chose to increase my penitence in that quick time event.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and like diffuse it a bit with her, who should help.
Yeah, because you know that she's not that bad.
And also, if you select one person, it's get extra approval. So if a place starts getting too disloyal, select their house for advisors, and that earns approval back with them.
Oh man, part of me just wants to see you fuck up really bad.
Well, let's see.
Like,
so he, because I selected him as an advisor, as part of House Cagney, he burned the books to increase ignorance. I got an average result of ignorance plus 3. His virtue is rumored to be disciplined. He works extra hard, so the discipline increased, but I don't know about how much. And he makes extra money selling forgiveness for future sins because he's a swindler.
You don't even know how much plus you get.
So now that I used him, though, now I can do an inquiry. Athletic. So decent virtue, but now I know that my discipline will decrease when I sacrifice him.
Your discipline is your highest stat.
So he seizes forbidden desserts and fine clothing for discipline. We don't know what his virtue is. We didn't even get hit. His ignorance, his vice of knowing too much hurt the ignorance of the town. So now it's going to cost me a lot of loyalty, but now I can do boom. No, he's a linguist, and boom, boom.
Obedient.
Unquestioning. That's actually not bad. That's a major virtue.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do later is those with major virtues. You can
wait. He's an unquestioning linguist, so he's like, So how are the rules of
it doesn't matter.
Cthulhu? Oh, you pronounce it like
and the reasons why don't matter.
That's right.
So, Viola dutifully whipped the sinful, adhering to the rites of penitence. Is rumored to be obedient. Obedience increased, but we're good. We've done enough because we're complacent. Chernabog's happy. We don't need to be fervor.
I'm cool.
It's still worth it to figure out what her.
Yeah.
Timid.
Oh,
no, it's not great.
Mediocre.
Mediocre. At least, really, vices hurt badly. Having someone who won't hurt, because everyone's going to have a minimum of a minus 10 minor vice, no matter what. Everyone's a sinner. Okay. So that didn't hurt me too bad, actually. And so, see, because I chose their houses, their approval for me increased. Not by much, because it was split between 3. And those who didn't have, weren't picked, it decreased. So you see how 2 went up, 1 down. So
okay.
This is how there we go. Oh, quick time event. Inquisitor Blackborn reports that an outsider has washed ashore. The villagers want to throw him back into the ocean, but you wonder if this arrival is more than coincidence.
So what does what does it do? What does this event do?
It actually just tells you. So if I choose this one, I'll get an increase to ignorance. If I ask Blackborn to hit integrity, ignorance will suffer, but maybe something cool will happen?
Always go for the question
mark. Or
mark.
ask House Cagney to watch him. Ignorance will suffer, but something cool might happen?
I always like to go for the question marks on the first playthrough, but you've probably done this before.
Who's the most... It's actually... I don't know. I've been punished by going for... I didn't have good experiences going for the question marks. But for the purpose of this, it would also probably help increase the loyalty for that house. So I'll see about... I hurt ignorance, but I got House Blackborn approval. But that hurt my ignorance a lot.
Yeah, you couldn't ignore that.
Yeah. So when I asked them to burn books, so he's only going to burn books and increase ignorance, and then his virtue and vice come into play. But my ignorance is good enough for now. Let's give these guys a shot and see where we're at.
Only 2?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you know all the others.
Yeah, I know the others. Great outcome. Fervor plus 7.
Ooh.
He's rumored to be obedient, so obedience increased. Behavior had an unknown effect, so now I'm going to inquire.
Lacking fervor.
He's gentle. That gentle bastard. I do wish people were kind to one another.
That
That is not how Chernabog teaches. I'm burning a lot of my approval to learn it.
Lawful.
I'm using up a lot of my approval to learn it, but it's more important to learn this stuff.
Yeah, especially early on,
Yeah.
I imagine.
Interior of the townspeople, it seems a few parents conspired to hide children from the ritual. Don't know what his fire says. Oh, we could figure out. Rumored to be disobedient. Let's see.
You cat. You fiend.
Full of fervor. Pyromaniac. Yes, that is a major virtue. Oh, and he's only a teen. So this is the ideal person to have on the council. He's got a major virtue and a minor vice.
Good news, Blackborn. We will ignore your heritage and we will bring you into the council. You will make sure your family will thrive in this community.
So I really want to increase my ignorance because it's dangerously low. But luckily it's not red, which means I'm actually doing pretty good. Yeah. Unfortunately, the only way to increase ignorance, nobody has an ignorance virtue, so I have to have House Kegney, which will hurt my penitence again. So I'm probably going to want to have them flagellate sinners to make up for the loss in penitence from having him.
That's fair.
But it's still going to be...
It's not enough.
I need to dilute it more, so I'm going to have him. There we go. So you notice my penitence still drops, but not enough for it to be too bad.
Dang, you good at managing these resources.
I got lucky finding him earlier on, so this should be good. I mean, I don't like that my penitence is right on the border.
I just realized
the penitence will go up again when I sacrifice him.
I just realized how awesome a name like Casimir Kegney is.
He fucked up and lowered my ignorance. That motherfucker, I'm so glad I'm going to sacrifice him.
You're going to stab him in the fucking throat. Yeah. It's all going to be worth it. I don't care how awesome his... Oh, there we go.
See, it helped make up for it.
Oh, God.
Great outcome. I like you, Carol Blackborn. I'm going to be using you a lot when I don't have need to find out things about the rest of your family.
He is the paragon that this community needs.
Leader reactions. Okay. Finish results.
So what happens if someone gets in the top? Do they get more powerful? Like a house gets too strong?
No, the more they approve of you, the more inquiries you get.
Got it.
Outside of the advisor council.
Okay, Casimir, you have a fantastic name. Chernabog will be pleased.
Yeah. So, minor virtue, they'll be disturbed and lose discipline, but major vice. Villagers being strike greater punch. They're not going to complain about it because it is a major vice.
He's a kill
Goodbye.
thief. Now let me see the graphic.
Yeah.
Oh. Chernabog!
For Chernabog. Cthulhu-Fhtagn.
Cthulhu-Fhtagn. It's a wonderful phrase.
So see, we sacrifice the life. Because it wasn't just sacrifice, they'll mourn him, and they lose 30. But see, every other house gets plus 5. So you'll notice that, like, when you're selecting advisors, they increase and decrease, and it's like a net gain of 5. It's only a net gain of 5 approval. And here's a net loss. So you're literally just trying to keep all the bars high enough that it doesn't sink down too far. And literally, like, every event is, like, the only way to get an increase without losing somewhere else.
This reminds me of the Futurama episode at the museum. What you've just done was slightly more effective than the amount of damage you caused in the museum. A net gain for our fair
That is
city.
Literally every turn in this is trying to aim for the net gain. That's after a certain point you'll run out of major sinners and have to start sacrificing minor sinners, and you start burning through your approval. And after that point, you're just trying to make it to the end of the game.
I didn't realize that this was a mining community for the minor sinners.
Before the new season, a whisper caresses your dreams. My faithful servant, I await your devotion. Encourage obedience, unfaltering spirit in the law and order. The teller of lies, give her to me. So that's another clue. We know it's a woman.
Okay.
And we know that so because we're emphasizing obedience this month, we need to hit a much higher threshold of obedience to please Chernabog.
Very well.
So we need to find the teller of lies. Usually,
wait, we know someone who's already has a major sin, but before we talk about how we have deviated from the very scripture of Chernabog, do we want to continue this next time?
Sure. So that was our first season. We'll see as things get a bit more advanced and we continue on.
Join the cult with us next time.
Hail Chernabog.
Hail Chernabog.
Cthulhu-Fhtagn.
Cthulhu-Fhtagn. Goodbye, everybody.